Today we're taking a look at the newest addition to the Taylor family lineup. What's up everybody, this is Bailey over here at Mojo's Music, and today we have got the Taylor 317E. Now 17 is a new number for Taylor because this is the Grand Pacific body shape, which is the newest addition to Taylor's guitar lineup. Andy Powers, who's the master builder at Taylor Guitars, described the Grand Pacific style as a new direction for Taylor. Typically they're known as trailblazers for new and unique sounds and styles and ways of doing things in the acoustic guitar world. But with the Grand Pacific, they wanted to give a nod to the trailblazers behind them by making a classic sounding guitar that just fits the bill for something that you would expect from years and decades past. That's what the Grand Pacific is. It's intended to be a more traditional feel and sound for an acoustic guitar. So this 317 is going to help us get acquainted to this new era of Taylor guitars. Of course, if you know the Taylor numbering system, you're probably familiar with the 300 level, which has a sapele back and sides with a Sitka Spruce top, and this guitar doesn't deviate in that area. Sapele very closely mirrors the tonal qualities of mahogany, but it adds a little bit of brightness on the high end. So you can consider like the mid and low end of mahogany with maybe the higher end of a rosewood guitar, which gives it a more balanced and even sound. On top of that, sapele is known in the guitar community as being a wood that very well cooperates with other instruments. So if you play in a band or regularly play with other musicians, this might be the perfect guitar for you. It is specifically crafted and designed to work well in a full mix. And of course we have Sitka Spruce on the top. Sitka Spruce is the wonder child of acoustic guitar tops because it evens and balances out the tonal qualities of the other woods to make them more approachable and a little just more balanced. It really doesn't add too much to the sound itself, but instead takes some of the more drastic areas of the guitar's tone and kind of mellows and evens them out. Now let's talk about this new body shape, the Grand Pacific. How does it sound different from other Taylors? And how does it sound different from a dreadnought? Well, according to Andy Powers, the Grand Pacific is going to give more of a vintage and traditional acoustic guitar feel, like I mentioned. And to my ear, that means that this guitar is going to sound more homogeneous. Like I mentioned, if you play another Taylor guitar, a Grand Auditorium, or even a Grand Symphony, you're going to hear, even as you just strum, it almost sounds as if you can hear the individual notes very articulate and specific, more so than with any other acoustic guitar. And the Grand Pacific is going to give you a little more of a cohesive and homogeneous sound to it. Let's compare it to a Grand Auditorium. The Grand Auditorium is incredibly bright on the high end, and with a Grand Pacific, it's going to be a little more mellow and a little more restrained. Still very articulate and very clear, but just not as present as with the Grand Auditorium. Now let's compare it to a traditional dreadnought, say a Martin D28 or anything in that family. The difference is going to be primarily in the volume of the guitar. If you strum a big dreadnought Martin, it just booms. It's a cannon. That's what it's supposed to do. And this is going to be a little more reserved all around. What that means is that you don't have to strum this guitar quite as hard to get its full response. With a Martin Dreadnought, you have to hammer away and strum hard to get the full value of sound from the guitar. With the Grand Pacific model, it's not quite the same. It has the same full-bodied sound that you would expect from a Dreadnought, but it doesn't require the same amount of energy to get that full body out of it. That means that it's not going to be quite as loud and as powerful as a traditional dreadnought. However, it is going to be more versatile and flexible. It can be more articulate sounding if you want it to be. Despite all the new and unique things about this Grand Pacific, it does still have some of the staples of Taylor guitars that we've come to know. It has the V-class bracing as well as the Expression System 2 pickups, all from Taylor, and staples in their acoustic guitars. So this guitar, it's unique. It's really different from any other Taylor that you're going to play. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who love the feel of a Taylor, love the sound and the quality of Taylor guitars, but almost wish that there was such a thing as a vintage Taylor. You're going to get something closer to that with a guitar like this because it's meant to sound like the acoustic guitars from the past that we all know and love and dream about. If you want to try this guitar out, if you want to play a Grand Pacific and see how it feels compared to the other Taylors that you've come to know and be familiar with, look us up online at mojosmusic.com or come visit us in the store.